This conference will now be recorded.
And for whatever reason, I'm going to close these. Oh, goodness. All right, we're back. Okay, so it is the top of the hour, and in consideration of your time, we're going to go ahead and start on time. So welcome everybody to the Lions District 4C4 Club Officer Training. This session is session number 3 for today, Saturday. It is the Club Treasurer's Training webinar. This is being presented by the Office of Lion District Governor Helen Kaseklang. And of course, we have our District Governor-elect, Lion Fanny Chu, our first Vice District Governor-elect, Lion June Valera, and our second Vice District Governor-elect, Lion John Huey. We want to thank the district for allowing us to put this on behalf of the global leadership team of myself, Past District Governor Mario Benavente, and Lion Kevin Guess of the Peninsula Veterans Lions Club. Couple of housekeeping points. I think I've already mentioned, if you have, the microphones will be turned off. If you have questions, please submit them via the chat box. The little bubble microphone that you might see somewhere on your page, just click on the little bubble and type in your chat. It might be helpful if you minimize the cameras so that you can see the slides a little bit better, but I will leave that up to you. Today it is our pleasure to have with us today to speak about the duties of the club treasurer, past cabinet treasurer, Lion Rich Picchi of the Half Moon Bay Lions Club. Lion Rich has a lot of experience in dealing with issues, both monetary and otherwise. So you can ask him questions, not just about the treasurer stuff, but that is what we're covering today. Lion Rich will be speaking here he's got from 2 until 4 o'clock. He's advised me that he will not be going as long as 2 hours, but in any case, he will provide all the information that you need to have as club treasurer. All webinars are being recorded. They will be available on the district website following the conclusion of our meetings today. Lion August Valera is currently doing that. It may take him a day or two, but he'll get those things up on the district website. So if you missed this morning's sessions, or you know of someone who can't make the current one, you're going to miss something tomorrow, all the webinars are going to be on the website. Okay, so let me take over for a little bit just to do a little background. And if you were here for the earlier sessions, I apologize for the replay, but we're going to give you a little bit of background before we turn it over to Lion Rich on Lions Clubs International, which was founded in 1917 under the motto, "We Serve." So it is a community service organization dedicated to the service of the community, dedicated to the service of the less fortunate, founded by the founder, Melvin Jones, who actually never served as president of the organization. He served as secretary. He was the one who actually, not the original Lions Club, he approached another club, which was called Lions Club. I believe his club was called the Businessmen's Circle of Chicago. And so anyway, they decided to form a national organization, which eventually went international. And so that was the role of Melvin Jones. He's the one who organized the whole thing, and so he gets the credit for starting it. Main areas of focus for the Lions: vision, hunger, youth, diabetes, pediatric cancer / health, and of course the environment. Helen Keller asked us to be the Knights of the Blind in 1925, and Lions clubs everywhere have been working on vision impaired problems. Hunger, of course, international and local. So here in District 4C4, we do the Rise Against Hunger, which sends foods to other countries. This year it was Nicaragua. I believe we sent to Vietnam, and I'm not sure where the third one went. I believe it might have been Africa, but hunger is a worldwide problem, but not just worldwide, it's also a local problem. And so we have the St. Anthony's Dining Room program, not to mention the local projects that our clubs have to help the homeless in their own communities through Second Harvest, Meals on Wheels, and just handing out food on the streets. So there's that. Of course, youth through our peace poster contest, our student speaker contest, which Lion Rich is quite the expert on. Maybe perhaps one day we could have something on student speaker, huh, on Lion Rich?
That'd be great.
And so we do work very hard to get our youth involved in community service, because it is something that we try and teach them, that giving back to the community, to serving the less fortunate, is something that is to be expected of all members of our society. Diabetes, we have several of the clubs run health fairs here in District 4C4, and I'm sure, let me give a shout out to District 4L3. I believe we have some members from 4L3 and possibly from C6 in this session this morning, actually this afternoon. But in any case, health is important, and we want to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure that members of our community remain healthy. District 4C4 just recently endorsed the Lions Global Health Initiative for health and wellness. And so we want to do everything we can to keep our citizens healthy. And finally, the environment, whether it's planting a tree, cleaning up a beach, cleaning your highway, or even just posting some pictures of the nice environment. We need to keep planet Earth, it's the place where we live, and we need to keep it up to snuff in terms of making it livable, for not just for ourselves, but for our children and for our grandchildren. We'll take just a second. I believe this will work. It's not just about having meetings, having the dinners and all those things. Those are nice things to do, but really it is about the service. Lions Clubs International is founded, we don't want to run it again. Lions Clubs International is founded to serve others, and that is the main focus of our service. It does take organization. It takes presidents and members to plan the projects. It takes secretaries to report them. It takes treasurers to run the financial end of it, but it is about the service. So Lion Rich will give you all the details about being a treasurer, but it's always important never to stray too far from what our mission is, which is to serve. If you'll also remember to take a look at your Lions Club's international purposes and code of ethics, it is important to remember that we want to be kind to each other as we go through. Overview of the organization. You all may be experienced Lions, but I'm going to share with you the fact that we have nearly 1.5 million members worldwide in 214 countries, approximately 20,000 in the state of California. And our district, District 4C4, has about 1,500, coming up on 1,600 members. We're going to be adding a couple of more new clubs. So congratulations to District Governor Helen Casaclan. In the middle there on that picture on the left, our current district governor. Next to her in the red scarf is District Governor-elect Fanny Chu. And on the other side in the yellow tie is our first Vice District Governor-elect, Lion Dr. June Valera. And joining them this year as second Vice District Governor-elect is Lion John Huey. And so that will comprise your new governor team going into the next term of 2021. The other picture is just a picture of our district celebrating when Lion Ken was elected as the international director candidate from California. So we're looking forward to having Lion Ken as an international director. Once again, 46,000 clubs, 1.4 plus million members. Leo's clubs, if your club does not have a Leo club, does not have a Leo club branch, we encourage you to go to your local school, middle school, high school, and see if you can't start one, because again, we are a service club. We want to encourage our youth to expect to serve their community, and one way we can do this is by having Leo's clubs. We've mentioned that it's a worldwide organization, and we are in almost every country in the world. I mean, I'm looking at perhaps Kazakhstan, Somalia, Libya, Cuba, and those are the major countries I see that we're still missing. We're in Russia, we're in the People's Republic of China, the majority of Africa and the Americas, Australia, most of Europe and Asia. So it is a worldwide organization, and we have a truly outstanding reach anytime there's a problem throughout the world. Just a quick introduction of our executive officers internationally. We have them from Korea, Iceland, Canada, not to mention the United States, state of New York, and the state of Minnesota. These officers are going to be serving for one additional year due to the pandemic, but people are ready to step up. And so, you know, if you want to meet these officers, you're going to have to go to Lions Club's International Convention, perhaps the USA-Canada Forum. Our multiple District 4 comprises the state of California, and we reside in District 4C4, which I'm indicating there is a small little district. We have some guests here from 4L3, and again, these districts are divided up by population, by the amount of members in any particular area. Being that we're an urban area, we have a small district, but it's interesting to know that we do have 15 districts in the state of California. And lastly, we do have foundations that we're asking all members to be aware of. Please check, make sure that you have the funds to support these organizations, especially our LCIF, Lions Clubs International Foundation, which is the charitable arm of our foundation. If there's an earthquake in Japan, if there's a hurricane in New Orleans, if there's river blindness in Africa, we usually can't go there, but this is the way we can help through our foundation. Please donate generously to LCIF. We're also asking you now to donate generously to the California Lions Foundation, which is here in California to the benefit of the communities in California and for California Lions Clubs. With that, I'm going to stop and my sharing of the screen, and I'm going to turn things over to Lion Rich Picchi, again, of the Half Moon Bay Lions Club. Rich has just been made the presenter. Lion Rich, the microphone and the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you. See if I can figure this out. Are you getting it, Mario?
You mean sharing your screen? Not yet.
Yeah. Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
If you like, I can share I have your program, so I can share it if you like. And you can just tell me to click next.
All right. Yeah, but why don't we do that?
Okay, you're on. Oh, wait
Okay.
a second. That's not it yet. Just 1 second. Let me improve on that. I'm sorry. Let me go back to this and start the slideshow, and everyone will be able to see it better. There we go. Okay, now you're off.
Okay. So hello, everybody. Thanks for attending this session. The material that I'm listing here on this first slide is all available in several locations. On the LCI website, you can get at it without the password. It's also in the email that Mario sent out with the link to this broadcast. It was he listed the ND4 or 4C4 website where this information is also available. Best practices for financial transparency, club ebook, the treasurer webinar, all the way down to tax issues, regulations affecting Lions clubs and leadership. Want to move ahead, Mario? One more. The treasurer, several responsibilities of the treasurer, and this comes right out of one of those documents. Of course, you're going to take in the money from your all sources and deposit it in the bank or in the proper accounts. You arrange for statements. You do the balancing of the books, pay out money, checks for obligations, both administrative and community service, having custody and keep and maintain general records of the clubs. Simply there, you want to keep a record of everything you do because you'll never know when you'll get a question about what this check was about, what happened with that deposit, that sort of thing. So move ahead to the next one. You're preparing your monthly reports for your board of directors. Let them know how we're progressing each and every month. Want to accept responsibility or give bond for the faithful discharge of your office. Your board may give you the authority to do that, or they may require a bond. Deliver in a timely manner at the end of your term financial records and the accounts to your successor, and serve as chairperson for the finance committee of the club. Again, all of that is available in the Constitution and Bylaws page there, 19. Okay, Mario, one more. So the main thing you want to worry about as a treasurer is that you have your funds in several different locations. The two that stand out is that you have administrative money and community service funds. Administrative money simply is the funds that come from within your own club. Community service funds are funds that come from the public. You can have more than one account for each one of those, but you never want to combine the two. One of the first things I learned when I became an officer of my club was you never commingle the funds, never mix those two up. And especially never use community funds to cover administrative costs. Move ahead. So community service funds come from the public. So any public activities, food sales, fireworks sales, white cane drives, Christmas tree lots, anything that the public is invited to participate in or attend, you cannot use those funds to cover administration of the club. Can't use them to pay dues. You can't use them to pay for a Christmas party for the club. You can use you can use, back off on that. So let's move on to the next one. Administrative funds are dues that you collect through fines, dues, raffles, anything within the club. Fundraisers where the club only can participate. If you have a marble raffle, you have a bingo for the club, that's fine as long as the public is not involved. You can use administrative funds to help out on some community service projects, donations to charities, service projects, as feed money to get started on a new project. But you can't do it the other way. Yes, Mario.
What if, can you use your admin funds as seed money for a project and then pay back the admin account from the proceeds of?
Yes, but not the other way around.
Got it.
So you can use admin funds to pay anything, but you can't use the community funds for any administrative activities. Okay. So flip to the next one. Okay. When you're doing your your treasury work, keep a copy of all your financial transactions. Keep track of who it was listed for, the dates, the purpose. If you use Quicken or software like that, it works very well. It keeps track of a lot of that for you. But in any case, make sure you keep receipts, any special information that came along with that invoice or checks. When you do your member tracking for dues, keep track of the members, keep track of who paid what is still outstanding, any other costs from holiday parties or club meals. You want to be able to have a register of who owes the club what, so you can collect from them. Keep a copy of each check that you've written. Again, keep your receipts for that and the budget categories that those are being assigned to. And I find it helpful that I file all of that information chronologically in a binder, and makes it easier to go back to try and find something later on. And within, on the administrative side, again, make sure you know who paid what and who still owes the club so that you can follow up with them. One more. Okay. Budgets. Why do you need a budget? A budget's going to give you the opportunity to know how much you're planning to spend for the year, and it gives you the opportunity then to figure out how you're going to earn that money so that you can pay it out without touching your general balance. You have a reserve of funds. That would be the starting balance on your bank account. And Your budget then lists the money that's going to come in during the year and go out during the year. Should balance to about zero. That means that you're not spending any more than you're bringing in. The remainder of the account, money in the accounts, is not touched then, and if anything, hopefully it'll grow a little bit each year. And as you go through that budget, you want to it's going to keep you on track. Okay, Mario, go ahead. So when you create a budget, you want to anticipate all your income and revenue sources from fundraisers, donations, etc. Start by using last year's budget. I think every club is going to have a budget or should have a budget, and use last year's as a starting point. You want to anticipate what expenses might occur during the year and do it by category. If there's a new service project, you want to make sure the club can cover those expenses. You want to think about any hidden expenses, such as city fees, taxes, permits, setup costs. Somebody will come to you with a project, want to do a street fair, and you look at what are you going to need for product and what do you want to base your prices on and all of that. But you have to include things like any permit fees or taxes you're going to have to pay, user taxes, that sort of thing. Be sure to include new ideas for your incoming president in your budget. You may have some ideas, or that person may have some ideas, and you want to make sure you at least discuss them and include them in the budget. And make sure your budget balances. You don't want to spend a whole lot more than you're bringing in. Once you've worked out this budget, it needs to be approved by the board of directors. So Mario, you want to jump to that first slide?
Will do. Let me get over to that. That is budget slide number 9.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
Do you want it at the top?
Yeah, let's do it at the top. So the top part here, this is an activities budget. On the income side, we're going to have a pancake breakfast on the 4th of July. We're going to have bingo games during the year, and we're going to have a crab feed. And we've anticipated that's going to bring in about $9,400. We may be over or may be under. At this point, it's our best guess. Now, each year that you have a pancake breakfast or a crab feed, you may start out your first year and your numbers aren't very close at all. But as you progress, you're going to get a better idea of what kind of income or what kind of outgo you're going to have from each event. So your numbers are going to get closer. On the expense side, you're listing each of the types of things, and just a few here listed: scouting, Little League. You're going to rehab a park. You got a senior holiday party there that you're going to put on for the local seniors. Donation to a food bank, eyeglasses, scholarships, and at that point, you still have $200 left from the 9,400. Okay, so at that point you have a $9,200 budget. So we set the other $200 and as unbudgeted. What that means is that if something runs a little over in one of those two categories, you can still use that unbudgeted. That helps balance it. If you go down to the administrative side, now you're showing you've got member dues. In this club is charging each member $100. That covers your international, your multiple district, and your district dues, and a little bit over for club administrative expenses. You're going to have about $1,000 in income from raffles. And you figure your tail twister is going to bring in about $720. On the expense side, you can see that of the for the LCI dues for 30 members, it's going to cost you about $1,290. MD4 and 4C4 about $972. And then your other expenses are listed out below. Your other administrative expenses are listed below. You got a past president brunch in your club, and this club has an expense item there for $500 to hold that. Again, there's some unbudgeted funds there. So, any questions on any of this so far?
What are, just so that our treasurers know, what are the basic dues that are due to LCI, MD4, and 4C4? How much does that come to?
That I have that a little bit further on, but
in that case, I'll wait.
Let me pull that up here. LCI dues are $43 a year, and that's billed every 6 months at $21.50 per person. MD4 dues are $18 a year per member, and it's billed every 6 months at $9. And 4C4, our district dues are $14.40, billed at $7.20 every 6 months.
About $75 a year, $75.40 a year to cover the three. So anything above that would remain with the club.
Yes. Yes, and that's one way to keep your administrative numbers in order, so that you don't depend strictly on those internal raffles and fines to bring in or keep your administrative costs in order.
We had a comment here from Lion Rocky from 4L3.
Yeah.
Who noted that the unbudgeted expenses on the administration budget appears to be somewhat high.
Yeah, and it is on this example, but this is simply an example.
Yes, of course.
There would be a lot of other activities that you'd be using that money for. And off the top of my head, I don't have that. Let's see what Rocky also asks explain the LCI club dues for family head of household. Okay. Um, for club dues for a family, anybody who is living in your home, for instance, husband and wife and child, or whatever combination, if they live in your house, one person pays the full share for international dues. The others pay, I believe it's 1/2 of that, of theirs. So, so the billing for a family unit is quite a bit less than if there are 3 individuals. But that only counts for international, does not count for MD4 or the district. I'm not sure about the head of household, but there is also a reduced rate for students as well, student members, which I believe is also 1/2 the international rate. Does that answer that question, Rocky?
I would assume so.
Yeah. Okay. All right, then move ahead. Okay, next slide, Mario. I just see a note here from incoming or first Vice District Governor-elect Dr. Valera. Leo Lyon also has a reduced rate on the international dues. Okay.
Is this what you want, or do you want me to
No,
go?
no, I mean, well, yeah, that'll work. In the next part is about the monthly budget report. Every month, as you go through, you're putting your expenses and fees and income into a budget worksheet or in a budget program, so that as you go along, you can tell where you are in terms of the budget. You can use a good old spreadsheet, and that works just as well. What you want to look for is to make sure everything is still on track as you go along. Does the report show that the club is missing any fundraising goals? Are there any expense categories that are unusually high or unusually low? Will we have enough money to cover the budget for the rest of the year? And you want to know all this so that when you present this to the board, you're going to let them know early enough so that you can make corrections or updates to your financial program. So once you go to that next budget report.
Okay. Is that the one?
That's the partial one?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. It's not up there yet.
There we go.
Perfect. Okay. So this is, as of this report shows about 6 months into your program. You can see the pancake breakfast was a little underfunded. The bingo games, well, I'm figuring you're probably having one of those a quarter, something like that. And for the first part of the year, you're down quite a bit, as a matter of fact. And the crab feed, we haven't had that yet because that's going to be later in the year. So you can see that at this point, you're down $200 on the breakfast. Your bingo games aren't look like they're not trending where you want them. Looks like you're going to be short there. So hopefully you can do something in those bingo games to help stimulate the customers pay more during the next half of the year, and hopefully your crab feed can you can do things in your crab feed to help bring in enough to cover the losses from the pancake breakfast. When you go down on the expense side, you see that you've got everything looks like it's doing pretty well until you get to the senior holiday party. That cost about $400 more than what you planned on. And when you couple that with the amount of revenue that isn't coming in, you might have an issue. The club may need to come up with other ideas on how to make up for some of that. You do have, there's only $200 unbudgeted there, so you can't resolve it all from that. Also, you may want to cut back on maybe a couple of the other activities if you can't cover the budget any other way. Now, so let's go down to the next one, Mario, the administrative budget down below. And again, here your member dues coming in, that's all been covered, that's paid. Your raffles, you're down about $300 on your raffles. You're not down. I mean, that's for 6 months. You've covered $700 in the first 6 months of the year. That means that you do that again the second half, and you're going to be bringing in more administrative funds than you planned on. That's good. You might be a little short on fines, but that can be worked on as well. So somebody comes through you with, the president comes through and says, I want to make an extra donation to a new project. We can use this year as an example. Because of COVID-19, you want to do a special donation to one of the community organizations that providing food for the homeless. How do you do that? Where does that money come from? If you can plan it in advance and be able to cover it with a fundraising effort, that's great. But in a case like this year, I don't know how you do that since you can't have any real public events. But the but as part of the budget, you need to consider all of that, and you may have to make the decision that you can take some of that money out of the reserve or the regular bank account. But if you do that, you should be trying to replenish that over the next few months or into next year. Any questions there? Guys have to have a lot of questions.
I've got a few, but I'm going to wait on asking them. I'll get you at the end.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the next slide, Mario.
Let's see. Hang on. Let me pause this for a second.
Okay. It's one monthly budget activity report.
That one there.
The next one, I think. They both have the same title. There you go. So, again, when you present this the report to the board, you want to be especially diligent in looking for anything that is going to cause a blip in the budget. You want to make sure the board reviews all of these things and knows where you're going with the budget and what are the options that you have available. Again, you want to, if you get a request to pay a bill and that bill has is for an item that's not in your budget, do you pay the bill or do you not? And my suggestion there is you take it to the board and this is something that we did not plan on. This is an extra cost item. If it's important that we do this, we need board approval. So move ahead, Mario. One more.
Sure.
Okay, I see a note here from Rocky again. Prior authorization from the board is required for any expense. That's right. And it's when you review your budget with the board at the beginning of the year, my club does it in a way that says, okay, we're approving these expenses. So if our expenditure falls within that range, then we go ahead and the treasurer can go ahead and make that payment. If it is outside of that range for any reason, it has to be brought up and reported and approved by the board. So it's a little different on how we deal with that. The other thing Rocky points out is budget goes from July 1st until June 30th. Absolutely right. Okay. Reports to the board must be prepared prior to board meetings. Bring copies of the report to your membership. You should also have a report for each account, community service and administration. And you want to have your reconciliation done as well. We give you an example of what it was like in at one point. Our treasurer did the report. He said he would tell us how much money we had in the account. Give us one number. And one of our members asked for, I want to see the details. And treasurer didn't feel like going to all that work. So we ended up making sure that he presented that report at the account at this proper time. Let's go to that number 12. Yeah.
Can I interject here? I mean,
Please.
You know, a lot of individuals are used to just kind of using their bank register and keeping a report on the register. I found as both a club treasurer and as a cabinet treasurer that it was really important to have a software to enter all these expenses and categories and things like that, because I noticed that if someone went to the treasurer and asked the question, well, how much of the budget has been used on, say, eyeglasses, and the treasurer's got to go back through the checkbook looking through the different checks that he's written to figure out how much it would take a long time. But exactly. If using a software, you can get that same information in a matter of seconds.
Yes.
How important is it to you to use the software?
Yeah, and I mentioned Quicken earlier. Quicken is a dynamite tool for that, and it's fairly inexpensive. I think you get a copy of it for $35 or $40, and it will give you not only your ongoing balance and all of that, but you can generate reports from it. It'll tell you exactly what you have spent in each category. It's as good as you can make it, because you identify each of the categories,
right,
and ahead of time, and the reports will come out by category for you. So yes, any time of the year, all you have to do is sit there and do a generate a report, and it comes out and will give you exactly what you need.
And it will also help you generate your budget and come up with a budget variance report, which you're about. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Anything else?
I believe you asked for this.
Okay. Yeah. So this is an example of a monthly reconciliation. We had a balance beginning of July of $10,000 in the bank. The income was $3,000. Expenses were $2,000. So at the end of the month, we're at about $12,054. And we have an uncleared item. That's a check that was written in July, but they hasn't been cashed yet. Now, you look at just below that, we've got the nice report here for our pancake breakfast. It's going to list all the income. You got checks, you got cash coming in at the door. Two or three people came in. They instead of taking their change, they gave us a donation. So you you're talking your total income being $3,800 because of all that. On your output side, or your expense side, you can see what the items were, who it was written to, and the cost. So you've got cost for pancake mix, the paper plates, the butter, syrup, oil, propane, the city permit. Sometimes we forget to add that in. You had to rent tables and chairs. You got juice and coffee and those expenses as well. So that's where that $1,800 comes from. So this statement, in my club, well, the first thing the club wants to know is, how do we do in the pancake breakfast? How do we do in this event or that event? This is how you can tell them. And as being the treasurer, you have all the material or all the numbers you need to put this little spreadsheet together. And if you look back up, you'll see where the numbers from here go into the monthly reconciliation above. So you got the income was $3,800. You see the total income for the project was $3,800. Expenses were $2,000. And this is a simple club. It only had the one project in the month, so it's $2,000 there. But that's my my example.
Lion Rich,
Yeah,
do you mind if I interject here?
please.
Just with some advice as a past treasurer myself. And as a matter of fact, I'm coming in as club treasurer for my San Bruno Lions Club. And on this conference call, I happen to have a person, a Lion who's going to be working with me, a Lion Scott Thomas. Lion Scott, raise your hand if you're there. But, well, actually, I know he's there. But one of the dangers of having a event where you're dealing with a lot of money coming in cash, it's always a good idea to count the money that comes in at any event with a second person.
Oh,
and
yeah.
to confirm the counting. And let me tell you something that happened to me about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, where someone counted the money, who took the money at the door, counted the money, handed me the envelope and said there's, I forget what the amount was, $7,280.
Mm-hmm.
So I stick it in my pocket, and I go home at the end of the night. Well, lo and behold, I get home and start counting the money, and there was $6,280. There was a $6 difference. Now, I'm not going to take $1,000 of my own money to make up, what was reported earlier. So my strong recommendation is that at least 2 people count the money at any event like that. My other recommendation, and coming back as a club treasurer this year, is to get a second Lion to kind of work with you. And Lion Scott Thomas is going to be filling that role in our club, to kind of go over the numbers with you a little bit so that at least one other Lion is aware of what's going on. It's not bad too, someday maybe Scott will take on the role of club treasurer himself. And it's nice to kind of have that as a way of training someone as well. Anyway, that's just the what came to mind when you're talking about this one event. Very important to have someone else count the income at the door at an event like this with you. It can happen. I know, because it happened to me.
Yeah, I agree. I see a note here from Dr. Valera. As treasurer, you should also keep the list of attendees and the amount paid for record purposes. check should also be scanned. Yeah, I agree. Um, it depends on your event. On it can be kind of hard to do in a uh, pancake breakfast or that type of thing with the public involved, but try and keep track of who paid cash and who paid by check. But any checks that come in, he's suggesting make copies that you uh, keep that as part of your permanent record. Um, I was listening a little bit to the secretary training this morning, and Elaine Denise mentioned that keeping all these records is important, but that she's doing it via a flash drive or possibly in the future using the cloud, and that's fine where you keep that information. The point is to keep it and to be able to go back and recreate what what you're doing or what you have done. Um, Comment here from Rocky again. Uh, he's suggesting we want to make sure you deposit that money within 48 hours. I'd deposit the next morning if I could. Um, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Get it. Don't let money hang around. You got money to deposit, do it as soon as you can. Another question from Helen Wong. This one, is there a recommended low-cost finance software easy to use besides QuickBooks or Quicken? I'm not aware of them. I'm sure there are.
Yes.
The only one I've ever used is Quicken. Mario, have you any idea or
I use
anything else out
I
there?
use Quicken at home. I love Quicken. I am forced to use QuickBooks at my office because I have to run payroll through QuickBooks.
Right.
I'll tell you, I've been using the same Quicken software since 2001. It's
Yeah.
a fabulous program. I love it, and it works extremely well. Now, I'm sure there are other softwares out there. I just could not tell you what they are.
Right. Okay. Anybody else know of any? Just put it on chat.
We just got a comment there from Lion Lyle from San Francisco, Geneva.
Yeah, I just looking at that. Um, he's saying that keeping copies of checks with signatures can create security issue. Yes, it can. Um, I'm not sure what you do about that.
Yeah, I imagine that you could redact the signature or just
Yeah,
block out.
yeah, you could do that.
But I do think you need to keep some sort of, you do need to maintain some sort of records.
Right. You need to keep some records is right. The as a club treasurer, your requirements for keeping some of this is a little bit less, I think, than if you are working more on a district size project. I mean, it's important either way. Okay, we have a whole bunch of questions here. No, I do not have any recommendation for a banking institution. I think almost any bank will work. Um, some banks will give you better rates. Some you can get a free checking account or free checking accounts. Other banks may not give you a free checking accounts. There are oftentimes kind of hidden expenses you don't know about. If an account goes below a certain balance, they might tack on a fee.
have a recommendation.
Okay.
This is Lion Gary Wong. I found that Mechanics Bank and US Bank and Bank of the West offer free checking accounts for nonprofits, for Lions clubs especially.
Okay.
That's Mechanics Bank, Bank of the West, and US Bank.
Okay. I'm writing it down. And US Bank. Okay. Suggestions for anybody that interested in that. Another comment here from Nancy. Using Excel spreadsheets is great. Yeah, it is. And that's the way we used to do it. The only problem is that you you run the risk. You don't have as much information. You can't keep as much information that way. You've got a lot more paper to deal with. And what do we have? We have another one here. Each club to set up a Zelle. How do you pronounce that? Zelle?
Zelle.
Zelle account. Enable, accept, make payment.
Lion Phil?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is PDG Mario. We were trying to figure this out in our San Bruno club where we were trying to accept payments from our members.
Yes.
And we could not, well, I was accepting them. We did a test run and I accepted one for $40, went into my personal account, which I then wanted to transfer from my personal account into the club account on which I am linked. But I wasn't able to make that transfer. Is that something to set up that Zelle account? Is that something we have to go to the bank to do, or is that something we can do online?
You can do online.
Really?
I set it up online. Actually, each and every club can using their club bank account to set it up. So the money will directly to the club, and also so it's free. Number one, it's set it up in a few minutes. Okay, so no extra steps. Number two is free of charge. And number three, the money can transfer right away.
Right. Yes, that's what we're looking for.
Okay. We can do this kind of the special training and need it in any time in the futures, and then we are no problem.
Thank you, Lion Phil. I'll tell you, Lion Rich. I see one more question. Let's take this question, then we'll continue on with your presentation, and then maybe we'll take some questions at the end further. Okay. So.
Okay. So the custody of checks. Who should be the signers? Is that the one?
That's the one.
Yeah. The custody of the checks. This is the checkbook itself. I would say that's with the treasurer. Who would the signers be? Well, you can. I would suggest the treasurer and the president would be two important people who should be at the top of the list, priority list. Backups could be prior secretary, prior president. You should have someone there who can be a signer in case you need to have a check signed, and both of the other people are not available.
Do you have any recommendation as to how many signers should be on any individual check and whether there should be a limit? Say over $250, you require 2 signatures. How do you and your club handle it?
In my club, we have used 1 signature.
Yes, mine too.
I think Lions International recommends 2.
For any amount or for over a certain amount?
I believe it's any amount. I'd have to pull up the ebook and look at it, but I believe their recommendation is 2.
Okay. All right. So
this Philip, may I make a comment on it?
Sure.
Okay, I'm practice CPA for non-for-profit organization. The normal practice for the financial standpoint is 2. So that way it's easier to get rid of the conflict of interest. You know, let's say the person make that expenses they decide themselves, and then but if there are 2 people, then normal is better.
Okay.
It's got to be 2 people who are fairly close to each other so that, you know, they can not too much of a delay in getting things out.
Yeah.
I have a question, Rich.
Yeah.
Question is that so many of our transactions right now are electronic.
Yes.
So whenever I write checks as a treasurer, they're written electronically. There is no signature involved at all. So how do you safeguard against that situation?
That I don't know.
Yeah, that, I mean,
I could answer that question, Mr. Philip, again. You can, when you set that up online, you can set it up with 2 signature approval. So that way, that the online system, the online banking system, if you set it up as 1 check, and they will let you just 1 signature. If your account is set it up with 2 signature required, and they will have 2 signature for you to available to do it.
So there needs to be approval from 2 parties before a check is issued electronically.
They will authorize electronically as well.
Lion Philip, which bank are you using?
All different banks have that. So we have
all of the banks have that.
Yeah, I'm in practice. I have to in the normal business they actually have it. It's a pretty easy process. So you need to just go to the bank to ask them, hey, first you have to change it to, if there's 2 signature required, at the very first you have to go to the bank to change that authorization, and then from there everything will be flowing.
Okay, thank you. So we'll have to look into that. Lion Ray suggests that we move on.
Okay, let's go back to the that reporting page.
Oh, back to the reporting page. Okay.
Back to the original presentation.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
PowerPoint. The next one, next page.
Next page.
Yeah. There you go. We covered, I think, all of those items except for the last one, and that's when you do dues, or if you bill prepaid meals, that sort of thing. You need to keep, I'll use the spreadsheet word again, but you need to keep a tally of your members and who's paid and who hasn't paid. People sometimes forget whether they've paid or not, and it's the only real way that you can keep things on track. Keep track of who's paid, who's not, and report that to the board occasionally, so that they're aware of what's going on. Go to the next one, Mario. So this is back to the dues structure. We talked about it earlier. LCI, MD4, and district dues are all billed semi-annually to the club. Invoices usually, LCI usually invoices around December 31st and June 30th, while MD4 bills around August 1st and February 1st. Your club will also add any annual dues to help cover administrative expenses and any other costs to that. Next page.
Lion Rich?
Yeah.
On this one slide, you've got I Foundation, Ear Foundation, I guess other foundations that the club supports. Now, would payments to these foundations come out of the administrative account, or would it come out of the charity account?
Well, they're dues, and at one point I thought they automatically came out of the administrative, but they are supporting uh, charitable organizations. They do not have to come out of administrative. They certainly come out of community service.
That is my understanding as well. Anybody else have thoughts on that? I believe that is the correct. That is
But
correct.
yeah, and I think our club kind of is saying, okay, we each member has whether it's $6 or $7, whatever each one of these foundations uh, bills us, uh, that we're paying for that as part of our dues. So we bill a little bit for that through our club dues thing. So in other words, we can pay for community service projects out of administrative expenses or budgets.
Okay, so and I'm seeing a difference. Lyle from San Francisco Geneva Excelsior, they do from the activities. I know San Bruno does it out of activities.
Mm-hmm.
E. June said they is part of their club dues. And then Rocky Ferreira from L3 says
Right.
donations to foundations can also be paid out from the administrative account. So
Right.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it can go either way, but I do think that it is allowed to do it out of the charitable.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's move ahead to the next one. Okay, so all these dues are due upon receipt, uh, and they become past due after 30 days. Any balance still owing in excess of 90 days will put your club on the bad list, and you may not be able to participate in conventions, student speaker contests, and your club will not be able to vote in any Lions conventions or elections. It's very important that your dues are paid, your bills are paid through international. If you're going to order something, you need to do that right away. You can use MyLCI. As a treasurer, you don't have a lot to do in through the website, but if you go into MyLCI, you can look to see what charges you have still owing. As you order things through the catalog, LCI doesn't bill those until the product is shipping or is shipped. Then it bills the club. So some of those charges you may not even have the bill, the paper copy of the bill. So you can always look on MyLCI to see what your club owes and handle it that way. You can pay online or print it off and send in a check, however you want to do it. But that's a very important thing to handle.
I think it's also important to note that you do have two different dues bills that need to be paid, LCI and MD4. So
Exactly.
don't get the LCI bill and say, I'm done paying dues for these 6 months. You're still going to get a dues statement from MD4, which also covers the district.
Exactly. And Rocky's pointing out that this year we're having an extension on due dates, no penalties, and all of that's fine. If your club can afford to pay them, get them out of the way. Don't let them sit there because just going to drag on and on. Okay, let's go to the next one, Mario. Okay, important dates. First of the year, when you take over, you need to go to the bank. You need to change your signature cards. And as the secretaries were told this morning, they need to publish in their minutes the new officers. And the copy of the minutes need to go to the bank along with the new signers and the prior treasurer to change these cards. Whatever, they're not cards anymore, but need to be taken care of so your new officers can take over and sign. Anybody that's going to be a signer on checks needs to have this signature process taken care of. November 15th, you have to file your taxes. So at the end of your year, June 30th, you're going to hand the records off, but you need to prepare your accounts for taxes, to the reporting of your finances. No, Lions aren't charged taxes. We're exempt, but we still have to file, and the filing date is November 15th. So once you've got your accounts closed, do your balance sheet, income statement, and prepare the officer information and fill out the tax returns. In many clubs, we use an outside tax person or a member of the club that might be a CPA can do that. That's fine. But just make sure that it gets done. There's also a statement of information that you have to file every couple of years. And the dates are a little odd. Every 2 years, every 2 years this is done, and if your club was formed in an odd numbered year, then you do it every odd number year.
I might point out on this point also, Lion Rich, that if you have a 501c3, a foundation,
yes,
you have 2 of these to fill out.
Yes.
So you're going to need one for the club. You're going to need one for the foundation. Again, it goes back to my mistakes. You learn from your mistakes. Filled out the one for the club and thought that it was a repeat when I received the second one, but no, it was not a repeat. I needed to fill one out for the foundation and then had to go back and get caught up. So,
right.
So if you have a foundation, then you're going to have 2 of those statements of information to fill out.
Yeah, I agree. Phillips?
Yes, this Phillips. I'm actually CPA, so for non-for-profit organization, we have no tax due. That's correct. If we file on time, we are cool. However, if we do not file on time, there's a huge penalty on a daily basis.
Yes.
And not only to the club, but to the club officer and the board director are personal liable. So that's just for the information.
I'd like to make a point as well. This is Lion Gary Wong. For many clubs, for some clubs, we may be filling out a Form 990 or 990EZ for federal. But keep in mind that many clubs, even though they don't have, their activities don't rise to the level where it has to file a 990 or 990EZ. It still has to file a Form 990N, which is a postcard form filed
Yes.
online, and that's both the federal, that's both to the Internal Revenue Service as well as to the Franchise Tax Board, and that form is 199N. So it's really important not to neglect filing those postcard forms. It may not seem like much, but there have been clubs that have had their tax exempt organization status revoked because they just ignored those forms.
Right. Comment from Connie. Where do you get the state information? A small club, 501c3? No, small club is a club is automatically a 501c.
C4.
No, 501c4.
A club is automatically right as a C4. A C3 is a higher level within the IRS that it has to be a special. You go through a special process and you fill out some major paperwork.
This Philip, may I make one more comment?
Yeah.
Okay. The 501c4 and 3, 3 and 4, there's a huge difference. So
Yes.
especially for us to file tax return, let's say if you make a donation to the 4, you cannot claim tax deduction. But if you go to the 3, you will. So therefore, so when we as a club, if we got a 3, it's cool. It's bad. It's better to go out to get the donation and get the things to participate, because the people donate the money could be able to take tax deduction.
Exactly. When our club, San Bruno Lions, went to a 501c3, our donations went up significantly. It took a lot of work to get the 501c3,
Yes.
but once we got it, it was well worth it. When people can make donations to your club and get a tax deduction for it, they're more likely to make a bigger donation rather than if they do not get a tax deduction. They're more likely to make a smaller donation. So we started seeing bigger donations to our club when we became a 501c3.
If any club need any help, you guys can approach me. I can help you to provide my professional advice to you.
If I might also, the California Lions Foundation is providing the service of accepting 501c, using their 501c3s to, if someone wants to make a donation to you, your club, you can ask them to send it to the California Lions Foundation, and the foundation will direct the funds back to your club. It is a service that is being provided by the California Lions Foundation. You may want to check out their website on that.
That's good.
I also want to make a point about the 501c3 versus 501c4. If you take a look at the two accounts that we are instructed not to commingle, that's the administrative account and the charities account. The charities account relates specifically to the 501c3 activity, whereas the administrative account relates to the 501c4 activity. So those two accounts, which are not to be commingled in any way, relate to the 501c4 status as a club and 501c3 status as a charity's fundraising account.
Okay.
Okay, Rich, where do you want me to take you?
Let's see. Let's go to. Why don't we go to the next slide? Go to the, talk a little bit about insurance. So, International provides a general liability insurance that covers Lions on a worldwide basis. All clubs and districts are automatically insured. What it does not cover is liability arising out of the sale for serving alcoholic beverages. You'll need to get this coverage locally if you're going to have an event that has alcoholic beverages, as well as the insurance, as well as the alcoholic beverage license. That is one that clubs sometimes will forget about, but it is part of a liability that you need to consider. Also not covered is officers and directors insurance and crime coverage. You can get it through LCI's carrier, and you can get additional liability and accident insurance through our carrier.
I have a question about that. Let's just say that your club wants to host a fundraiser or any kind of an event.
Yeah.
And you know that you're dealing with a lot of people, with the public.
Mm-hmm.
Should the club contact LCI and ask for specific coverage for this event, or is it just automatic?
It's automatic. It depends. You need to break it down a little bit more. You're talking about an event you're having in your location. You doing what? Give me an example.
Say it's a major fundraiser and it involves 500 people, and we're going to be using public facilities. It's
Okay.
a fundraiser where we're raising, say, $50,000, and we do this on an annual basis.
Okay. Are you using? Will airplanes be involved?
No.
There's there's a document that in the materials that was handed out, I believe, or that was discussed, that that not everything. There are certain exclusions: dunk tanks, events where alcohol is served, amusement rides, snowmobiles, go-karts, skateboards, rock concerts. There's a bunch of exclusions. And if that's not an issue, you're covered to the extent of the coverage listed. And I believe it's $2 million a person. I don't have that number in front of me, but the general insurance is pretty good. If you think you're going to need more than that, then you should cover with the extra amounts.
I mean, I'm showing on the board right now, you know, the place where you go to for insurance from the LCI website. I mean, basically you just go to lionsclubs.org, click on resources, and go over here to the resource center. And then resource center page, you just scroll down to where it says insurance, and that's where you can download the insurance information, like right here.
Right.
And then just click, you look for the right one. Obviously you don't want the insurance for Canada, you want the insurance for the United States.
Right.
And if you need to provide proof of insurance to a church hall or to a
city,
hall, yeah, this is where you can get the proof of insurance.
Right. Right. Exactly. And you can get to it. You can get to it just by clicking on that little magnifying glass and typing in insurance.
There you go. Yes, that's right.
As well as going through the resource and all that.
And it's got information here, and there's another one for directors and officers insurance and all kinds of stuff, crime fidelity, all kinds of stuff. It's interesting to look through the website, so I would recommend you do it.
Oh yeah. So there have been a couple of questions over here. and I'm not sure I can answer all these, but let's see. Can you download LCI insurance online? Or you can download insurance
Yeah,
online.
that's what we're showing here right now. Yes.
Right, right. How about liability insurance for diabetes screening? Diabetes camp. I'm not sure. Well, I'm not sure either, Rocky. I'm sorry. Um, you'd have to dig into the insurance a little bit more. But my next slide, Mario, if you want to go back to that next
I
one,
will do that. Okay. And let's
next
see.
one after that.
Okay. Oops. Here we go.
Okay. So what is listed there? This is the international LCI's insurance service provider, and you've got a phone number and an email address. They also include the number there for LCI Legal Division. Again, the phone number and the email address. That's where I would ask that question.
For something like this, you may just want to do a screenshot of your computer using print screen and copy it to Paint or some other thing in case it's to write it down. But
Any other questions we can answer on that? Or try to answer? Okay. I think we talked about the next one, Mario. So just go to the last slide. I think, yeah. So there's my name and contact information. And for any of you who have any other questions I might be able to answer, or hopefully get an answer for you, you can give me a call or send me an email. I guess I'd prefer an email.
I'd like to pose a question.
Okay.
The treasurer is expected to give a report at every board of directors meeting.
Yes.
Typically what happens is president calls the meeting to order, then proceeds at some point to ask for a report from the treasurer. The treasurer then says, we have $6,765.87 in the treasury.
Mm-hmm.
And then the president says, are there any questions, any discussion? All in favor of approving the treasury report, say aye. Everybody says aye. So here's my question.
Okay.
How do we know? How does the board know? How do the club officers know that the treasurer is telling the truth?
well, that goes back to what I was just saying myself previously. I mean, when I accepted the job of treasurer, I made a point of asking my president to have someone to be appointed behind me. In this case, it is Lion Scott Thomas, who is going to be backing up. I will be sending him, my Quicken software and data so that he can look at it. I feel better that way. Have someone else looking at what's going on, that it's not just my word, that it's being taken care of in the proper way. And who knows, he may catch something, some mistake that I've made, or remind me of something that needs to be done. That, having been treasurer it's been a few years since I've been treasurer, but from my previous experience, I like the idea of having someone behind me to look at it and say, yeah, I can vouch for what he's saying.
So essentially you have, say, a second chair or an assistant treasurer who is working with you. Now,
yeah. You hearing that, Lion Scott?
Many clubs don't have that situation. So here's my suggestion. I think that the club treasurer should provide an independent verification of the bank balance on a monthly basis. And he or she can easily do that by just taking a picture of, or not just a picture, but even downloading a file from the bank website to prove the amount that he or she is reporting to the board. So that way he or she isn't just making up a number. Now, we've had unfortunate cases, especially in our district, where the club treasurer club treasurer was completely trusted because the treasurer had been aligned a long time and might have been in the banking field, then reported these numbers, and only to find out a few years later that the bank account's overdrawn. The club president is then notified, and the club president can't believe that the account's overdrawn because he would say, well, there's plenty of money in the account. Then only to find out that the treasurer had been taking money from the account, but there had been no checks and balances on that treasurer. So that's why I suggest that there's at least a monthly reporting, independently verified with a bank statement that's given to the board. Because I think that when you do that, you protect the treasurer, you protect the board, and you protect the other club officers from mismanagement, from accusations of mismanagement.
Line Mario. This is Emo.
Hey, Emo.
I think each year you should have the books and records reviewed by an independent member in the club or by your accountant. And the reason is they can go through and do the bank balances. They can double check to make sure all the disbursements and receipts tie into what was reported to the club. That should be done for every club on an annual basis.
Yep.
I agree with Gary that you should provide bank statements on a monthly basis, and at a minimum monthly receipts and disbursements that tie into bank balancing to the club members each month. But you should have an auditor review of the records on an annual basis, whether you change your treasurers or not.
Very good. Yeah, I think it's absolutely right. I mean, you just cannot rely on one person to handle this important function in the club, and it's got to be checked and double checked. There has to be checks and balances for that. And so, whether you have another club member doing it, and for sure it should be going to the bookkeeper or someone outside the club to double check it at least on an annual basis. So yeah, I think these comments are well founded.
Agreed.
So this Philip, may I make a comment? When you pull the report from your QuickBooks, QuickCan, or any software, there are two ways to do it. One is called cash basis, one is accrual basis. So now, if you would like to match with your bank, then we are small business, so easier to do is cash basis. So therefore, if we run the bookkeeping is cash basis, and then also we matching the bank statement, and that make our life easier.
Okay, Lion Rich, did you have anything further that you needed?
I think that's it. If there's any more questions?
I'd like to make a comment. One of the things that bothered me when I was treasurer before, and I'm looking forward to being treasurer again. But one of the things that used to bother me was when you receive a check from a club member and says, "Here's a check for $500, $300's for my dues, $50 or $60 is for the crab feed, placemat ads, $80 is for some other charitable thing." I never quite figured out, they're handing me a check with multiple uses to it, and I'm just wondering how other treasurers or other experienced treasurers are handling that problem.
I can offer some insight on that. First of all, I hate those types of checks.
I hated them. Yeah, that was one of the things.
I would like the payor to go back and write checks to the proper accounts, whether it's to the administrative account or to the charities account or whatever account it might be. It just makes life easier for the treasurer. But since that may not be practical, what I've done is I would accept the check, deposit it into the administrative account, and then redirect part of those funds into the charities account. Well, how else are you going to do it? You have to,
because it can't go the other way, can it?
you really want to keep that charities account sacred from any kind of commingling. So that's why I think that the way that you have to redesignate or redirect the funds is out of the administrative account. But there has to be that redirection. You just can't leave that money in the administrative account.
Yeah.
The other comment I would like to make is that, here we are, we're in the month of June. And as treasurers, we should be meeting with our presidents and whoever else the president designates to start having these budgets and calendars meeting now.
Yep.
This is the time to be creating those budgets that you're going to be working off of during your year as treasurer.
And this one's going to be a big one because of the pandemic and all of that. Money is going to be hard to come by, but people are going to still need our help. So budgets are going to be really important this year.
Okay, so unless there's other comments, I mean, we're at a quarter
I
to.
I have a
we
comment.
can continue on with some questions if you have something.
Talking about the end of the year and the beginning of the year, there's also a question on when you're going to turn the books over to the incoming treasurer. That needs to be done on a timely basis. You can't wait till August to turn over the books and change the account on the bank. You have to do that at the beginning of July. Otherwise, it's not going to be fair to the incoming treasurer. He's going to have problems with doing his work if you don't turn it over on a timely basis. So it needs to be closed off very quickly.
Agreed.
That's my comment.
Thank you, PCC Emo.
This Philip again. I'm actually going to be coming up to become a treasurer. So any payment to the treasurer start July 1st. If you send it out and you overdo, we are going to propose to charge a penalty. So everybody make sure you pay on time.
There you go.
All right.
10% penalty.
Congratulations, Lion Phillip, and you're the perfect man for the job, I'm sure. I tip my hat to District Governor-elect Fanny Chu for selecting you.
Thank you.
I want to thank, I'm going to start to wrap it up. We can continue with questions afterwards, but I'm going to thank Lion Rich Picchi for his excellent presentation. I hope it has been useful to everyone here. We can continue with our discussion. I'll keep the recording going for a little while here. And if I start to see it break down a little bit, then I'll stop the recording. But as I said with the other sessions, and including the sessions tomorrow, all these sessions are being recorded and will be made available on the District 4C4 website. And I'll smile. There you go. You got the picture, Lion Phillip? And it'll be available on the LC4 website. So if there's something that you missed, you can go back to the recording. If there's another session that you are interested in but can't get to, again, it will be available on the district website. So I'll leave the room open here for a while. Lion Rich, thank you very much for everything. You served as a district treasurer, cabinet treasurer before. Thank you for that service, and thank you for educating us on the ins and outs. I'd like to thank everyone who commented, everyone who chipped in on the discussion. I think it raised a lot of interesting questions. So I'll leave the room open, and anyone who wishes to continue to ask questions are welcome to do so.
Thank you.
Looking to see if I have any more further questions.
So this is Lion Connie. So in the smaller end of the clubs, and so we're supposed to file. I didn't know we had to file for state.
That's not state income tax. That you have to file a statement of information with the California Secretary of State. So, and again, as Lion Rich pointed out, that is every 2 years you're supposed to do that. And it is a fact that many of our clubs in the multiple do not do that. So we're trying to make this, make our clubs aware of the fact that this does have to be filed every 2 years, and you should be checking at the secretary. As a matter of fact, let me pull that up right now. And I believe we'll be able to follow along here. Simply, you can simply type in Secretary of State. You can Google it, Secretary of State Nonprofit Corporation Annual Report. And if you click on that, you'll find somewhere where it says Statements of Information right here under California Secretary of State. So click on that. That will take you to the Secretary of State's website. And right over here on the left side, it says that's an LLC, but here's the one, File Corporation Statement of Information, or you can also do a business search. So, I mean, let's do a business search real quick and say corporation name. And type in San Bruno Lions Club, and you'll see that we have two. We have our foundation and we have our club. Both of them are active, so that means we're up to date on it. And you know, and there is information that has to be turned in every 2 years for both your club, and if you have a foundation, you have to turn it in for that as well. If you do a search on your club and you get anything other than active, you may find that it's inactive, in arrears, something of that nature. That is something that you have to remedy. So again, we have 33 people still in the room here. I would recommend that you check the status of your club with the California Secretary of State.
Mario, there's also the requirement, the annual requirement you have to file with the Franchise Tax Board on an annual basis, and that's the Form 199N. It's a postcard form, but that's an annual requirement. That's not to the Secretary of State's office, it's to the Franchise Tax Board.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that. Generally, I've left that to our bookkeeper to do, so I'm a little unaware about that one, but I do know this one for a fact. We do need to, it seems like a lot of comments have come up here.
Secretary of State, the Franchise Tax Board, and the federal.
Okay.
So we have to file for the Form 199N for the Franchise Tax Board, and the Secretary of State, and the federal is a 99N or 990 EB.
990 if you're a small club.
990
N.
N.
Okay. Anybody else with comments? Okay, so I am going to stop the recording of this meeting at this moment. So thank you, everyone. Again, feel free to stay in the room if you just like to chat and ask questions. But again, thank you, Lion Rich, for your excellent presentations. All those who participated. I see Lion Kevin Guest there who helped organize this. Lion Kevin, my GLP co-chair. Thank you. And Vice District Governor-elect Fanny, did you have anything to say? You're on mute. You're still muted.
Yes, it's a great presentation. I'm glad it's being recorded so that we can put it to good use to reach more people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First Vice District Governor-elect June, did you have anything you wanted to say?
I would like to have a comment. I don't know if we touched this. This is called this Form CT-1. This is the registration form for the State of California Office of the Attorney General for Registry of Charitable Trust. And this is an initial application for new online who have not registered. Form RRF-1. This is the renewal of this form for charitable trust. This is also in the website. So Form CT-1 and Form RRF-1.
Ah, yes, okay. I do remember hearing those letters and filing those forms. So but right off the top of my head, I'm just not remembering that. Anybody else have comment on that? Can someone help the Vice District Governor out with those?
I can offer just a comment about that. I know that I've had to file those forms on an annual basis. It's not to the Franchise Tax Board, it's to the
I thought it was the Secretary of
registry
State.
trust. Things like a registry
Yes,
trust.
registry trust. That's the one. Yes.
Yeah, and I believe you have to pay $10
$10.
with the filing of that form, but I think you have to do it on an annual basis.
Thank you. Okay.